love and happiness. Yeah.
Love and Happiness's mission is to help 1 million couples. Dr. Vandy and Barbara Colter are committed to reaching this goal. Love and Happiness has helped thousands over the years through their couples retreats hosted in various cities. Their popular Central Florida TV show, Love and Happiness, has been syndicated in several states. Their best-selling book, Love and Happiness: The Secrets to Creating Winning Relationships, has helped singles and couples alike learn how to build better relationships. It's no surprise that the Colters are in high demand. Relationship subject matter experts featured on talk shows and national radio looking for real relationship talk. The Colters' virtual retreats, social media platforms, Facebook live streams, and relationship masterclasses have put their mission to help 1 million couples in their sights. Dr. Vandy Colter, Ph.D., a certified counselor with presidential status in the American Association of Christian Counselors, has a virtual counseling practice that serves CEOs, pastors, entrepreneurs, individuals, and couples who want their relationship to go from bad to good or good to great. Dr. Vandy has been featured on Fox, CBS, NBC, their national affiliates, and various media for the impact from his virtual counseling as a response to the relational health crisis during the COVID pandemic. Dr. Barbara Colter, real estate investor and serial entrepreneur, complements and contributes to what makes Love and Happiness the perfect blend of real talk and fun. Our motto is no one gets their happily ever after. They create their happily ever after. After the hurt, after the disappointment, you can still be happy. And Love and Happiness is just what you need to have.
Love is. Wait a minute.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Happy Saturday. Happy
Yeah.
Saturday.
We've got a great topic today that I think every couple will enjoy and benefit from. As I set a few things up, why don't you tell them the name of the...
So, the name of the topic today, I'm tired tongue, is the change starts with you. Change starts with you. So how many people know that, you just can't point your finger at your mate, one, blah, 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 because you have, 4 fingers? Well, my mom would say 3 fingers and a thumb pointing back at you. So you have to make sure that you are willing to work on yourself first and then say, okay, here's what I would like to have happen. And so a lot of times, people like to pick the mote out the other person's eye and not check out what's going on with them. So change starts with you. So do you agree that change starts with you?
And the part about relationships is all of us need to change.
Yes.
We all need to continually change. And it is on. I did put it on. So I know your summer months, summer months, whatever you call it. All right, so I put it on.
Okay, I need more. Okay. Anywho.
So everybody needs to change. Some of us more than others. In any event, what we're going to talk about today is some ways you can begin to make the change. And as my wife just said, I think it's important when we talk about change starts with you, that you really do think about you. A lot of times people are thinking about someone else in the relationship. So when it's time to get yourself together, they're like, yeah, it is time you get yourself together.
But change starts with you first, being a better you, being a better version of you, so you can be a better version for your partner.
Yeah, and if you don't pursue that, if you don't really have that heart to say, I know I need to change, I know I need to be different, it's really difficult for the person who's like, please change. You ever be with somebody and you just like, if you just change these 2 things, I could be a lot happier.
And they would be like, well, okay, if you can change these 5 things, I'll be happier. So
why you had to go on the
opposite?
I'm
just saying, I'm not trying to go. But normally that's
what happens.
Trying? Historically, that's what happens with couples, sweetheart. It happens.
You went really easy.
It's okay to
You're missing. But all I'm saying is that I feel you just missed was that the individual. It's easier to see where someone else needs to improve faster than you generally see yourself. And most people have X-ray vision when it comes to their mate.
Right.
And then they're Superman with lead. They can't see through the mirror of themselves. So they don't really see themselves the way that they need to.
Or they downplay what they need to change.
That's all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that more effort needs to be in seeing yourself. But the reality is, what's beautiful is if you see yourself and your mate is looking in their own mirror, then you guys can create a better relationship, because at least you don't have to be frustrated. Now, there's sometimes that an outside person can see something about the other person that they just don't see or recognize as something that they should take action to change. Sometimes people will just be like, I've been this way my whole life. It's not personal. I always tell people when it comes to certain aspects of my personality, so they don't take it personal, I'll say, listen, I am from New York. I am from this. This is where I'm from. Whatever that I am showing is not specific to you. It is who I am. And if that is an area that I need to address and change, then that's where I have to look in my mirror to change. But at least know yourself. It starts first, in my estimation, with whether you know yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you know yourself, then you have a better shot at being able to say, you know what, I think this is going to work out better if we change.
So are you saying know yourself and take responsibility for take responsibility for some of the actions or comments or the way you carry yourself? Because a lot of people, are aggressive people. Some people are passive aggressive people. But if you know who you are and take full responsibility, say if you're that person who shuts down in the relationship, you could be a fight person, you could be a flight person. But if you know yourself, you can just kind of like start working on the things that you need to change about yourself.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, at the end of the day, first everybody has to be willing to realize the value of change. Because if everybody is not at least willing to understand the value of change, then what happens is it's hard to have a conversation that's one-sided. If I think you need to change and you think you don't, if you think I need to change and I don't think it's hard to go anywhere with that.
But so if I guess change has to start first with you. So if you begin to go, okay, I know, and honestly, I think truth be told, everyone knows in their subconscious that what area they need to improve on, unless they are challenged to do that. I think sometimes they'll go, well, I'm from this, or I'm a Scorpio, we got tempers. I
agree with what you're saying.
I'm a Taurus,
Well, let me start by saying I agree.
Stubborn.
I agree with what you're saying. In theory, that some people will make excuses because excuses are easier than change.
Right.
But I don't know if I can broad brush the statement that people know where they need to change, because I think we all have blind spots. And I think a blind spot in your car is while you're driving, while you're in control and you see mostly everything, you can have someone right next to you that you can't see. And then until you turn into them, if they don't beep or something, you actually had no idea. And I think that in a lot of times in a relationship, just individuals as people, we have blind spots. And I think it's important to kind of paint more with individual brushes, the colors of change, instead of broad brushes saying, okay, you just need to get yourself together. Because if it's a blind spot, then the personality type matters. Because if they're the kind of personality that really doesn't see change as necessary, then it's uphill. If there's somebody who works on themselves, self-examines, self-analyzes, looks in their own mirror, then you can help them see something they can't, and they appreciate it.
And sometimes, sweetheart, I think that it's harder to accept that help or that advice from your mate because they're too close. You're going to feel like they're complaining about you versus trying to help you grow. It's like I think you mentioned earlier, third party or having someone else that's outside to go, you know what, let me help you guys out with this. What do you think about that? Isn't it easy to accept that same positive?
A lot of times in the relationship, depending on how much stuff is under the rug, it is really important to get outside help. Because it is hard when you're in the trenches together to be fair and objective and actually say, you know what, I should not do this. Sometimes, like in my counseling practice, I've seen situations where if I say back what one of them said, whether it's the man or the woman, that they're doing. And I would say, now remove yourself from this. And if one of your girlfriends or if one of your friends said this, that they were doing this, what would you think? And they go, wow, yeah, it seems pretty selfish. Or wow, it's almost like until you get them to have an out of body experience, a lot of people can't really see the value of that you can't see yourself. Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing, Richard? So I think that you have to really be comfortable with actually just being able to say, okay, it's okay to not know it all or see it all. And I think that, it's so much to, what needs to happen for change to start within ourselves, that it's complicated.
It is complicated.
It's complicated.
I think that some people think that they can't change because that old saying, you can't teach your old dog new tricks. I've been doing this for 50 years, or I've been this character for 13 years, 50, whatever. And they everybody know me. So I think they make excuses for not wanting to really do the work and self-diagnostic or self-diagnose what's going on. And a lot of times people are just too insecure they feel like that they should know better. Why do I need a third party to come and tell me about me? You follow what I'm saying? Yeah, some people are just like, but it's
for sure.
But even doctors go to doctors. You can't offer them yourself. I have good friends that are doctors. They don't, they go to other specialists, And so I think
it's like you're driving business to my counseling practice. I like your plugging.
Hey,
she's plugging nicely today. But let's do it from here to where they are. Change starts with you. The reason I think it's important to realize that change is necessary always in the relationship is if you have noticed negative things about your mate and you're like, I'm noticing some negative things. If you're not careful, you'll start to have negative thoughts about those negative things, but you won't separate the things from the person. So you all of a sudden have negative thoughts about the person. And you'll, when you think about them, instead of thinking warm and fuzzy or feeling like I really, I'm digging you, you're really like, I don't think I like you right now. And the worst thing to do is be in love and not like the person.
Hey, it won't survive. A lot of people,
Isn't it hard to be in love and not like who you love?
That's crazy.
And the negative thoughts, they lead to contempt. And contempt is a relationship killer. Contempt shows up as resentment. It shows up as disdain. I'm just, when I just look at you through this eye, I can't with you. And once you get into that space, you really are only able to reverse that by you first changing your thinking from negative to positive.
Because your thoughts become your actions.
Right.
And then you're going to start acting like that person. It does. Your thought becomes your actions, And so then your actions becomes your destiny. That's who you're going to lead,
Right.
You're going to do. So a lot of times you have to, I always tell people, whatever drew you to your mate, try to cling on to the good things, the positive things.
There you go.
Try to plant, uproot those, excavate those negative thoughts and those negative thinking patterns and start planting seeds of, hope, joy. We used to have fun together. Let's rekindle, when we first met, or let's rekindle a date, or let's rekindle a moment when, I fell in love with you, or, we got close, versus focusing on the warped, because sometimes the enemy will plant that seed of like negativity so much your thoughts, you said, become warped against your
So let's talk about so let's look at today like as if it's a self-examination. It's a mirror day. Today is for you to look in your own mirror and for you to just realize that if you change, everything changes.
That's it.
That if you change, everything changes. Now, it may not all change all at once. It may not all change 100%, but if you change, everything will change. And part of the first thing I think people need to do when it comes to trying to change their partner is first change the partner you are. The old saying like kill them with kindness, that kind of stuff.
Get more pizza, honey.
Yeah. So it's like, this is not easy. This is easier said than done. I want to be clear about this. But if you can just honestly just say to yourself, you know what, I want to be better. I want them to be better, so I'm going to be better. I'm going to kind of treat them the way I want to be treated. And along the lines, while you're doing it, you have to be able to explain instead of complain.
Oh my God!
You
blame.
Yeah.
Or if you complain, you can't blame. You can't
Right.
criticize it. There's nothing wrong with presenting the problem. Here's what I see that it's a problem, but don't criticize or don't blame, because there is a pink elephant in the room. You got to address it, which is the problem. You just can't criticize, which we often do. We often don't know how to articulate ourselves, so we begin to point fingers and blame. If you did this, if you did that, and begin to criticize, so that automatically your mate is going to take offense. I remember we talked about this a few months ago, like about 10 years ago. It was a Sunday morning, we were getting ready to go to church, and you said something to me, and it was like, in my mind, in my spirit, I'm like, he's absolutely right, but because I feel like he's attacking or criticizing me, I'm gonna go to the opposite end. Like, I ain't feeling it. So I'm like, no, you bugging. What? No, I don't do that. Yes, I do. I did that. I know me.
My wife has a superpower of putting the shield up and make it sound, and you will believe she just doesn't see what you're saying while she sees it the whole time.
But let me get to my point. Excuse me. So I was saying, because I felt that I understood what he meant. I understood exactly what he was talking about. But because the way I perceived the conversation was attack and criticism and blame, I decided to go to the opposite end of my the point, or the how do I say, the topic.
So let me say why. Let me say why I strategically picked my word complain
versus
and explain instead of complain.
Okay.
When your focus is to complain without blame, you're still complaining.
Okay.
But if I'm interested in explaining instead of complaining, then I'm going to communicate differently. Because now, if I'm just trying to, complain without blame, I'm still complaining. And when people are filing a complaint, you do get defensive. But if I'm going to explain instead of complain, now I start the conversation different. And I'm saying to myself, and honestly, I'm just telling the truth. This is how I began to reach a lot with you, is when I discovered that if I take the time to explain, it lowers your defenses. And all those walls that I would normally have to throw information over, like I'm gonna roof this over the roof just so you can try to hear this. And then I'm like, why is that particular area challenging for you to catch? And I realized if I explain instead of complain, and definitely without blame.
A lot of people don't know how to do that. You were, let's. Come on, you're a teacher. This is what you do. You are a professor. He has a Ph.D. We just not no honor. He's a real, he went to school for this stuff. So a lot of people do not have that level of maturity that they can explain, dissect, and diagnose at the same time. They just go into complain mode or blame mode or criticism mode. They don't know how to do that. And so
taking care of my knee from my fall.
Oh God, he fell. He never falls.
He made me fall.
I did not make him fall. He fell. He had slippers on. I
had flip flops on.
Okay, flip flop. Okay. I rest my case. He slipped on water.
Anybody want to know the truth? You ask me. If you want to just hear a version of truth, you check with her. But anyway, you was making a point, and I just was, just comforting my knee. Yes, nursing my knee. We could go 10 days ago. It ain't been long enough because it's still a little disturbance there. But what were your point? What's your point? Did you forget?
No, I was saying a lot of people do not know how to communicate.
Try to remember. Instead of just being humble and go, yes, I did.
Go ahead, Go ahead.
I'm like, this is recorded. So what are you gonna say? I don't want to. What are we gonna say?
I can't with you. You go ahead.
No, what I was making a point that it is in the way we explain that I discovered it becomes a really powerful way to communicate with you. Because when I was trying to complain without blame, it still sounded like the complaint, which made you defensive.
Yes.
But when I started to actually just say, what I'm going to do is explain. So I would lead, and this is, you want a tip? Here's a great tip in communication. Lead with the headline. Lead with the most important thing.
Yeah.
Most
women don't do that, Vandy. We will go all around the mobile. We want to paint that comedian of the day. What you had on, what you were wearing. We want to just go the extra mile.
Yeah. But if you lead with the headline, look at your conversation like a social media post. You know, Stephen A was shocked that LeBron said, you know, and then people lean in and they're like, so if you lead with the headline, lead with the most important thing. When I'm explaining something, I want to make sure that the most important thing is that my wife doesn't take what I'm about to say the wrong way. I'm leading with, I need to explain some things that are important to me and I'm trying to get her eyes off of her to just see what I need. And it's because I know you want to meet my need. I know that you care, that I'm going to just sharing what I think you should know. And then she's leaning in and not getting as defensive, because I learned years ago in our communication that I can say something and she stops listening.
Everybody does that. That's human
it's
nature.
A human thing. Right.
But that's why you have to make sure that you are, taking the defensive. I should do a defensive communication course. Hey,
that's
taking the defensives down so they won't feel like, okay, I'm about to be attacked. What's going on? Versus, okay, I love you. Yeah. I know you have my best interest at heart. Yeah. That's gonna make the other people go, okay, let me just unarm. I don't have to be on the defense mode.
And more importantly, you just made me realize that if you lead with the headline, you got to include, this is not a complaint.
You always said that.
This is not any reason for, that's right. You can't look at it as anything other than me just getting ready to share. Yeah. And if you can do that's going to be good. I did want to talk about a couple of things that you do encounter along the steps of change. So that way you don't just go, well, I tried to talk with them and they never give up. The first stage of change, that is a stage of change needed, is denial. So the person may say, I don't know what you're talking about. I disagree completely. They may deny, because sometimes you got to just give them the information and let it marinate. Let them process. Don't try to fix it in that moment. Right. Just realize that stage one is denial. So if you go in knowing they may just deny this, you may be less frustrated to go, I give up. I can't with you. You may be able to say, have you given any thought to what I mentioned the other day?
And then allow them to think. What you mentioned the other day, I have to process. Don't just lay it all on me at one time and think I'm going to have an answer for you or solve the problem. No, give me a minute. I need to chew on this. Let me get back with you after I process this. That way, I don't have that negative, that negative insight or that, defense mode or that whatever. I go back into my shell. Right. So I think that is really important. Okay.
It's about my knee.
Me again. Okay.
It's about my knee. Y'all know what she did to me. She called the cops. So, all right. So first stage, 4 stages of change. I'm gonna say them real quick because then we'll be out. You got the denial stage. That's where, you have to allow them that time so that they can process, right? And then you also have the next stage, which is the resistance stage. Now, this is where change isn't easy for a lot of people. So they typically will, after they even see it, they'll take a position like, well, this is just how I've been. I've been this way. You just got to be okay with that. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem. And they may resist the change, which is why, while you are trying to communicate, explain what needs to change, you have to work on you being a better person in the process. That's you can't keep giving them, sticks to hit you with, because you're resenting and being all negative. You have to try to be positive, even first when they're in denial, let them process. Then when they're resisting it, that's a you problem, you still be a better person. And your change causes them to then go into the third stage, which is exploration. My mouth is tricking up. Exploration. So that's when they begin to self-evaluate and they see your change and they start to go, maybe I need to do better. I see you working on stuff. Yeah, I see your change. Communicate to me, or I see you working on how you process this. And it could be natural stuff. Right. It's like literally, if you're always on top of them about how they eat, how they live, certain habits they have. And then after that, maybe you just give them time after they deny nothing. I've been this way when I met you, to resisting it. And then you just change for the positive. As you give them time, then they may start to say, I've been watching, how you doing it. And I think I want to try to make some changes in that area. It can be different places is all I'm saying. And then the last thing is just simply, then they get to a place of acceptance, which creates the commitment. Once they say, you know what, I realize I'm going to change. Now at least they can make a commitment to change. So you can actually change, help anyone change if you're willing to just give them room to change. If you can give them a little time, you can actually help anybody.
Because it's not gonna happen overnight, because their character, who they are, it didn't just happen overnight. So you have to give them room to grow, just like they gave you room to grow,
you should be giving yourself room to grow.
Yes.
Because if you just staring at them, waiting for them to change, you already messing up.
That's right.
You should be looking in your own mirror while they look in their mirror, and you should be brushing your teeth while they're brushing their teeth, and you should be trying to clean you while they try to clean them. That's when it's really powerful. When it's only one person always trying to change and the other person not so much, it's frustrating. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think we covered it. Change starts with you.
Change starts with you.
Yeah. So we definitely, if you haven't started to follow our page, follow our YouTube channel as well. We're getting ready to do some new things on our YouTube channel, which is Love and Happiness TV. And honestly, because there's so much Al Green and all this other stuff, I always tell people type Love and Happiness TV and Vandy, because that's an odd name and it brings it right to the forefront. And because it's, a channel we're just building up now. So there's that. So we look forward to seeing you next week. We'll have some great communication and relationship stuff for you again.